Hello and welcome once again to Beatle University. I am Professor Moptop, and as we continue to learn all sorts of cool stuff about the Beatles, it's time to take a further look and to listen to a bit more of the work of a major key player in the world of the Beatles, that being, of course, George Martin, who did all kinds of other cool things other than the Beatles. Perfect example, mock Mozart. In 1952, Peter Ustinov, along with Anthony Hopkins, that is indeed the actor Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, no. You were doing fine. You had established trust, and now this ham-handed segue into your questionnaire.
Had a minor hit with Mock Mozart, which was reluctantly released by EMI, who considered it to be just a bit too odd for public consumption.
Roma, Napoli, Milano, Torino, gente la ripetita Montesina.
The label took a chance with Martin because they were pleased enough with his previous results on working with several other songs of this nature. Much of Mock Mozart is nonsense and very silly, with a high-level quality of recording to accompany it.
Viva, 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 viva.
After this marginal success, Martin began to get more freedom in what and how he would record as he continued to progress very quickly, picking up skills and gaining a reputation as an amicable and desirable producer to work with, who would take calculated and successful chances, and he was able to have some fun. Another fun example of a song Martin had his hands in is by English comedian Bernard Cribbs, called Right Said Fred.
Right said Fred, both of us together, one each end and steady as we go.
In the song, three guys are moving a big object and they come across some challenges along the way. We don't exactly know what the big item is that they are attempting to relocate, but they certainly have a lot of issues with it, and they take a lot of breaks.
Had bad twinges, taking off the hinges, and it got us nowhere, and so we had a cup of tea, and right said Fred, have to take the wall down, that there wall is gonna have to go.
The sound effects added in the song were very well placed and timed by Martin himself.
Oh, right said Fred, climbing up a ladder with his crowbar, gave a mighty blow.
The writer of the song, Muswell hillbilly composer and painter Theodore Dix, drew inspiration from a real-life event when he and some of his friends attempted to move a grand piano, although from the lyrics, we can only predict what the item actually was. And speaking of inspiration, brothers Richard and Fred Fairbrass named their band after the tune. Right Said Fred had a #2 smash hit with their debut, I'm Too Sexy, in 1991.
I'm too sexy for my shirt, too sexy for my shirt, so sexy it hurts.
The band Right Said Fred had similar success to the three guys in the song, who never did complete their task. The band also faded into one-hit wonderland, quickly following Right Said Fred mania. Another bit of unusual audio that took unusual inspiration was called time beat. Time beat was based on an interval signal, which in Europe is an identifying piece of audio that identifies a network. Here in the States, we have them too. Beginning in 1958, the BBC established the Radiophonic Workshop. It was a wing of their audio department that would create new sound effects and music for television and radio. Madalena Fagiandini, who would become the sound effects designer for Doctor Who, created a piece of audio, which was an interval signal. Early in 1962, onto this, George Martin added a tune to the otherwise seemingly musicless piece of audio. In exchange, Martin then made a little song called Waltz in Orbit, which he sent to Fagiandini, challenging her to do the opposite, and she did. The results were released on a single under the pseudonym Ray Cathode, cleverly named after the cathode ray tube, which is the vacuum tube that helps display images. You know, TV. And a short while after, the creative and innovative producer creatively and innovatively created yet another new kind of noise. He met a young group of musicians named the Beatles, which is where we usually hear about George Martin first, but not here at Beatle U, where we want to know about all things Beatles, which of course includes all things George Martin. And as we continue in our quest to know everything, I will from time to time tell you about good old George Martin. Until then, class dismissed. I am Professor Moptop.
1, 2, 3, 4.
A Moptop production.
Very good.